We cannot talk about biology and leave out animals. All animals are eukaryotic. They have a nucleus and a membrane-bound organelle, but they do not have a cell wall and only a cell membrane. They are multicellular, and some animals reproduce sexually while others asexually. They are heterotrophic. All animals are able to move at some point in their life cycle. For all animals, with the exception of sponges, they have cells that organize into tissues, and these organize into organs, and we have the organ system and the organism. Animals could be classified into two categories: invertebrate and vertebrate. And invertebrates are animals that do not possess a backbone. Examples of these animals have exoskeleton. The fewer of the groupings is the vertebrate, which are animals with a backbone. Speaking of bones, these vertebrates could have cartilages like those of the sharks, and bones, that's the calcium phosphate dense material like we humans. Now let's talk about habitats or place of stay of these animals. We have the marine waters, the fresh waters, terrestrial, that's animals that live on land, and others. Animals reproduce sexually through internal fertilization in some animals and external fertilization in others. For asexual reproduction, we have the hermaphroditic animals, we have budding, fragmentation, and regeneration. After fertilization, we have a zygote, and then it develops into a blastula, which grows into gastrula. The gastrula develops three layers. We have the endoderm, the mesoderm, and the ectoderm. Further classification of animals group them based on their development of tissues, their body symmetry, which will be bilateral, radial, or asymmetrical, their body cavities, digestion, and their anatomical features. Okay, now our main topic, a pest. Pests are organisms harmful to humans or human concerns. The term is particularly used for creatures that damage crops, livestock, and forestry, or cause a nuisance to people. An elephant is unobjectionable in its natural habitat, but it becomes a pest when it tramples a crop. Some animals are disliked because they bite or sting. We also have others that enter homes, like our houseflies, which land on the food we eat, and other animals that scuttle about on the floor at night, like rats and roaches. Agricultural and horticultural crops are attacked by a wide variety of pests, the most important being rodents, insects, mites, nematodes, and gastropod mollusks. The damage they do results both from the direct injury they cause to the plants and from the indirect consequences of the fungal, bacterial, or viral infections they transmit. Plants have their own defenses against these attacks. They are mostly overwhelmed, especially in habitats where the plants are already stressed. These pests affecting trees are predominantly insects, and many of these have also been introduced inadvertently and lack natural enemies. Animals are considered pests or vermin when they injure people or damage crops, forestry, or building. Elephants are regarded as pests by farmers whose crops they raid and trample upon. Mosquitoes and ticks are vectors that can transmit ailments. Grasshoppers are usually solitary herbivores of little economic importance until the conditions are met for them to enter a swarming phase, become locusts, and cause enormous damage. Woodpeckers sometimes excavate holes in building, fencing, and utility pole, causing structural damage. Plants may be considered pests as well. For example, if they are invasive species or weeds. These species are known as parasites. There are several relationships living organisms have with one another. We have plants to animals, plants to plants and animals to animals. These relationships are mutualism, commensalism, and parasitic relationships, amongst others. Pests have parasitic relationships with their host all the time. An example of this parasitic plant is the dodo plant, amongst others. Disease-causing pathogens such as fungi, bacteria, and virus can cause damage to crops and garden plants. Plants, however, have developed strategies that they use in their own defense, be it their thorns, their spines, their stings, and thick cuticle or waxy deposits, with the second line of defense being toxic or distasteful secondary metabolites. Mechanical injury to the plant tissues allows the entry of pathogens and stimulates the plant to mobilize its chemical defenses. The plant soon seals off the wound to reduce further damage. Humans also have traditionally performed pest control in agriculture and forestry by the use of pesticides. However, other methods exist, such as mechanical control and recently developed biological control methods.